Welcome to Seize the Mains by Raj Malhotra's IS Academy. I am Surbhi Sardana and I will be taking this daily answer writing initiative from Monday to Friday at 9 pm. If this is your first video or you are new to this initiative, then let me tell you that here we discuss one GS paper question every day from UPSC mains. We either discuss sample questions of UPSC or we discuss previous year papers and we build answers around them. We learn here how to structure an answer to get more marks in mains. Also, after the end of this video, you can send your answers to us to get them evaluated free of cost. Today is the 9th day of Seize the Mains initiative. If you are facing any problems with answer writing, then I recommend that you watch the introductory video for this series and stay tuned with us for today for our day 9, and the topic for today is from GS paper 1. It's called Post-Independence Consolidation and Reorganization within the country. We'll run this initiative for 90 days. So if you want to stay tuned, you can download the schedule till first 30 days, that is till March 17, from the description below. We'll stop only for prelims break, so stay tuned. The topic for today concerns about modern history from after independence. So how consolidation of states was taking place and reorganization of the country was taking place after independence. So let's see what is our question for today. The question for the day is: examine the role of Sardar Patel in the integration of native states. This question has to be answered in 150 words and it will fetch you 10 marks. As I discussed in my previous video, that most of the students are facing an issue with the word limit, that how to finish their answers in the well-defined word limit, especially 150 words questions. So for next few days we are taking questions of 150 words only, and let's see how we can understand this particular question for the day. The directive here is examine, and you have to talk about the role of Sardar Patel in the integration of native states, or they are popularly called as princely states. So as we've discussed earlier, the directive examine means you have to precisely, accurately and in depth understand the situation and present it to the examiner as you see it. So whatever the contributions of Sardar Patel were there in the integration of princely states, we'll be writing about them in a structural format in our answer. So let's see how can we build our answer. As usual, we'll start by writing a very catchy introduction. We'll talk about what has been given in the question. We'll develop a conversation, a general conversation with the examiner, just like we start talking to a friend about what the topic is. So here, two keywords are there. The first is integration of native states and the second one is role of Sardar Patel. So we'll try to include both these parts lightly in our introduction, and then we'll proceed to build our body paragraphs to complete the answer with whatever knowledge we have regards to this. Also a pro tip: all your modern history books or post-independence books cover very general information about important topics like integration and consolidation, about partition or whatever were the policies of government after that. But on very special occasions, like for example 2nd October, the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, magazines like Yojana and Kurukshetra come up with articles or full-fledged issues on the contributions of a certain personality. So just keep in check whatever issues these current magazines are coming up with, and enrich your answers with the knowledge you gain from these magazines or these articles which are launched on special occasions. So let's proceed with this question. So about the introduction, we'll talk about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. We'll introduce him in general. So let's see what we have here. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was a senior leader of the Indian National Congress who played a leading role in the country's struggle for independence, guiding its integration into a united, independent nation. So this is a very simple, very brief introduction about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. any person who will be reading your answer even for the first time would understand that what is the personality we are talking about here and where the answer is heading towards. So you don't have to directly start writing about what were his contributions. You have to give a brief introduction that who was this person, how was he linked to the independence movement, and what was his contribution. So he played a historic role in negotiating with the rulers of the princely states and brought most of them into the Indian Union. So here broadly we have told about that what was his major contribution, and that is the demand of the question here. The second part of the question had the keyword integration of native states or integration of princely states. So in our linkage point, we'll give a very brief background of why integration of princely states was tough, or why was it even needed. So let's see what is the linkage point here that you write after your introduction. As far as introduction is concerned, I have written here in points just to make it clear, just to make it more readable. When you are writing your introductions, make sure that your introduction is in one paragraph. Okay, and the second paragraph that you are writing is a very short one, or just 1 or 2 lines to proceed towards the body paragraphs. So just combine these 2 lines, these 2 paragraphs, and then build your introduction. Let's move towards the linkage points. So here in the linkage points, we are briefly talking about why it was important for the merger of princely states into the Union of India. The rulers of the princely states were not uniformly enthusiastic about integrating their domains into independent India. Many of them insisted that they had the right to join either India or Pakistan to remain independent, or to form a union of their own. So when India was gaining her independence, at that time, princely states were under the direct paramountcy of British Crown, and on Indian soil they were ruling in their own areas independently. They were just transferable to the British Crown directly. So after independence, it was a major question at the time of independence that out of these 565 princely states, we could not afford to lose them, neither geographically nor politically or not even economically. It was very hard for India, and it was very important for Indian government to integrate all the princely states into the democratic setup that we were about to give to the people of our nation. So influencing the rulers of these princely states and convincing them to come together into the political setup of independent India was a very challenging task. So, and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, along with Mr. V.P. Menon, these both were the personalities who played a very key role in integration of princely states. So this question is highly expected. A general question about princely states, about the integration of princely states, has already been asked by UPSC. It could be asked in any state civil services, because state civil services do repeat questions from UPSC mains. And as far as future UPSC papers are concerned, it is highly recommended that you understand the role of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Lord Mountbatten, these 2 personalities, in detail, about what their role was in integrating the princely states, or what were their general roles in at the time of independence for India. So here, getting back to the answer, getting back to the linkage points, here this is an extension to our introduction, that what was the actual problem around integration of princely states. So moving on to the next line. Many of them insisted that they had the right to join either India or Pakistan to remain independent, or to form a union of their own. The problem of amalgamating these native states with a democratic, self-governing India was difficult and very delicate. But it was essential to save India from balkanization, from saving India to be dissipated into smaller parts once the paramountcy of British Crown would lapse. So after the paramountcy of British Crown would have lapsed, it was very important to integrate this princely states into the political setup of our country. So again, turning the direction of our answer so that it makes It makes the flow of our answer very easy. In the last line, we move our focus towards what was the role of Sardar Patel in that. Sardar Patel took charge of the States Department in July 1947. Just a correction, put this States Department in capital words. It's a noun. So Sardar Patel took charge of the States Department in July 1947. He sensed the urgent and imperative need of the integration of princely states. So these linkage points, just in very good words and in very structural format, present to the examiner what we talked about here, that integrating princely states was very crucial and delicate for the polity of our country. It would have caused India to balkanize. It was important that ways, and many of the princely states were trying to either form their independent unions or to join Pakistan. So from all those points of view, this area, integration of princely states, was very crucial, and Sardar Patel along with Mr. V.P. Menon had a key role to play, since Sardar Patel was the political head of the States Department. So this question has been framed around him, and this has to be answered in light of keeping in light the contribution of Sardar Patel. Sardar Patel has many contributions to the Indian civil services also and many other areas, but this question particularly talks about the integration of native states, so we will be focusing on only those points. This is a 150 words answer. One more thing, in your sample answers that we are receiving, we see a lot of students just copy the sample answer that we are providing here. First of all, the sample answer we provide here serves two purposes. It adds to your knowledge and it gives you a brief outline of how this question has to be proceeded by breaking the answer into different parts, creating different structure for the body of an answer. So the word limit is not adhered to when we discuss here. Many times it is not adhered to, or I specifically mention that you don't have to write the full sentences, but the answers that you send us for evaluation are either a complete copy of these answers or they don't adhere to the word limit. So I recommend that you go through the video like even twice if you need to. You read the answer by downloading the PDF for this presentation, and then you try to write in your own words, because this technical lingo will not be useful in the examination. You will have to develop a habit of memorizing these words. You cannot copy in the exam from any sample answer. So just try to write it in your own words. That is how this art of answer writing will enhance with time. Okay, so getting back to the answer, here we are done with the linkage points. We have concluded here that Sardar Patel was politically also responsible, as he was the political head of States Department. So he was so on that part he was responsible for integrating the princely states. Now you can just write down in points. You can choose to write down in paragraphs also, if you are very confident about the way you write in paragraphs. But if you can think about 4 to 5 points, which 4 to 5 contributions of Sardar Patel, then try to write your answer in points and just beautify the introduction, linkage points and conclusion in paragraphs. So let's move on to to discuss the points that we have, the contributions of Sardar Patel for this part. So the first point to discuss is, the first point should be very soft. It should not be very technical. It should be building tempo for the further points. So the first thing was that Congress or the government of the day or other ministers, they were trying to take a very hard approach towards princely states. They would have resorted to army action or very disciplinary action had Sardar Patel not been there. So the difference between the approach of other people and his approach was that he had a very conciliatory approach. He was very high on emotional intelligence. Go to our previous lecture from yesterday about emotional intelligence. So he was very high on that. So he could persuade the princes, the rulers of princely states to come together. He could persuade them for the integrity of our nation. He could use the word unity of India, and he could present a picture of independent India before princely states, before those rulers, and he could do this because he was taking a very conciliatory approach. He was not very strict, or he did not warn them, or blackmail them for any disciplinary action. So this was the most important aspect of his leadership. So this is the first point here, that he took a conciliatory approach and emphasized on the unity of India and the common interest of the princes and independent India. He reassured the princes about Congress's intentions and invited them to join independent India. So he calmed them down. He reassured them that their powers will not be taken. It is in their interest. It is in the interest of these rulers to join the democratic India, to join independent India, to come together. So this was the point that was concerning emotional intelligence, the soft skills. You can also use this example of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in your ethics answers. This first point serves a very good example in your ethics answer about emotional intelligence and leadership. Or you could be asked in your interview that what are the what leader inspires you. So you could take example of Sardar Patel and use this answer to build answers for further stages of the exam. Just try to link all parts of the syllabus, and if you're studying one particular question with me on a single day, just try to understand that you can use it in multiple areas of your examination. So use this in ethics or your interview as an example. The second part talks about the by appealing to the patriotic and national sentiments of the princes, he invited them to join the forming of a democratic constitution in the national interest. He persuaded them to surrender defense, foreign affairs and communication to the government of India. So he just asked for three things from the princes in the interest of the integration of India, for the democracy of India. So this was the second part. It is a bit technical. Here make sure that in this answer you include these three things: defense, foreign affairs and communication, because most of the princely states signed the instrument of accession just on this guarantee that only these three areas would be surrendered and others would not be. So this is a very important point, and patriotic and national sentiments of the princes were appealed to. So this is a very beautiful and a very natural statement, and only a true leader can do that. See, all these rulers, they had a domination in their area, in the princely state that they were ruling. So why would somebody want to give up on his power so easily? So it was, do you understand that if you are powerful in a certain area, why would you give up your power, and why would you go to the democratic route of contesting for elections to get that power back or anything like that? So this was a very tough challenge here. So what Sardar Patel did was, he assured the rulers of princely states that there would be no paramountcy, that you won't be below anyone, you will have full independence, you will have all the rights, you will have all the powers, and business would be conducted as usual. It would be conducted as equals. There would be no paramountcy, there won't be any kind of dominance. So this fact that when princes learned that okay, we'll be treated as equals in the democratic polity that we are building now, and we would have representation and we would have our powers intact. So that was the time when princes were reassured, and they decided to join the Republic of India. So he uses diplomatic prowess. He uses tactics. Tactics is a very negative word. You don't have to use any negative words in your answer. Just Google some less negative words if you're trying to portray some negative side of somebody, or a clever state of some personality, or or anything like that. Even if you have to put a negative side of some personality or some situation, just Google some words which make your answer appear more intelligent and less negative. So don't use the word tactics here, use the word diplomatic prowess or acumen or any words that appeal to you. So he broke the union of separatist princes. Those princes who wanted to separate from India or to join Pakistan, he could break their union, he could assure them, and by August 15, 1947, all except Hyderabad, Junagadh and Kashmir, like all 562 states, princely states, had acceded to India, had agreed to join Dominion of India. So except these three. So this was a huge success. This was a very this stands as the highest, as the best example of leadership. So about these three states which were not ready to accede to India, our next points will be focused around them. So we learned that 562 states agreed to join India. So after joining, he also played the role of assimilation, centralization and unification of states. Just making them agree to join India was not enough. So assimilation was also important, redistribution of power was also important. So this point talks about assimilation. He thereafter carried threefold process of assimilation, centralization and unification of states by producing treaties that were designed to be attractive to rulers of princely states. So these were very intelligent moves, that whatever the princely state rulers could agree to, whatever they could give, he tweaked all the kinds of agreements and made sure that everybody was satisfied in this redistribution of power. So these are the keywords: assimilation, centralization and unification, by producing treaties that were designed to be attractive to rulers of princely states. Also, you can choose to write about the two key documents which were very important in the integration of princely states. One of them was the standstill agreement, and the second one was the instrument of accession. So if you have like some words left in your answer, then you can add these technical parts, or you can just directly choose to ignore them or assimilate it with the previous line only, so that it doesn't take many words. The states were amalgamated to form a union, and that union was merged with the Union of India. Wonderful. So our last point talks about how he handled the crisis of Hyderabad and Junagadh. So in Junagadh, plebiscite had to be carried out because the ruler of Junagadh wanted to merge with Pakistan, and the Nawab of Hyderabad, the Nizam of Hyderabad, sorry, he was not ready to accede to India. He was not ready to sign instrument of accession with India. He had started to develop trade ties with other European countries. So it got very tough and people were brutally tortured in the state of Hyderabad. So this point talks about what was the role of Sardar Patel, how he handled the crisis that was arising. So in Junagadh, plebiscite was held and the government took over, Sardar Patel intervened and Indian government took over the administration. Here we talk about Razakars. These were security personals of Nizam of Hyderabad. So they were deployed in the princely state of Hyderabad, and many wrong activities were carried out. A lot of violence was taking place. So Patel decided upon police action. He ordered the army to march into Hyderabad. The Nizam surrendered and Hyderabad was acceded to India. So this was a huge success. 562 states making everyone agree to sign the instrument of accession and the standstill agreement, and the other states which had where disciplinary action or plebiscite had to be carried out, he successfully also contributed to that at the right time. So moving on towards our conclusion, this is a very short question. So just see that we had 5 points in a body paragraph. Just write 1 to 2 lines in like for every point of your body paragraph. These are meant to explain you the concept so that you don't have to go back to your books again and find out and look for what was the contribution of this particular personality. So moving on towards the conclusion, we saw what was the contribution of Sardar Patel in particular to princely states, integration of princely states. There were many other contributions also, but we're not asked about them here. So history answers can get you more marks if you can relate something with the current affairs or with the current situations happening in society. For example, if something is a colonial legacy or British legacy, you can relate it to the present situation. Like, and about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, we all know that we celebrate National Unity Day on his birthday. We also attribute Civil Services Day to his contribution, and Statue of Unity. It is the most recent development that you can relate to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So make sure that you use such points in your history answers also. They'll get you more marks, and they'll tell the examiner that you are a woke aspirant. You know what's going on around you, and you just do not focus on your books while you are preparing for UPSC. So here we have the conclusion. Sardar Patel ensured by his calculated methods and diplomatic way that there was absorption of a multitude of princely states into the Indian Union. So he tried to maximize the absorption of princely states, maximize the number. Hence, without a civil war, he secured the solidarity of the nation. It was his success in integrating about 565 princely states after independence that got him the title of Iron Man. So you know, things like they are not asked in prelims. They can be asked in state prelims, but in UPSC prelims they are not asked. But if you incorporate such words in your mains exam, in your mains answer, they'll definitely get you more marks. So that's why it's important to go through your regular textbooks in detail, and especially new NCERTs. So here the word civil war has been used. So by using this term, without a civil war, so much integration had taken place, and thanks to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So when you use the word civil war, this is how you emphasize that how bad the situation was and how easily it was handled just because of his efforts. So make sure that you reread the conclusion and you try to create a conclusion of your own. You've got enough ideas, right? Try to write a conclusion of your own, or use these points in your introductory paragraph. That okay, he's known as the Iron Man of India. These are the following contributions that he made towards integration of princely states. So just try to innovate the way you write. The last line talks about Statue of Unity. Let's read it. His commitment to national integration in the newly independent country was total and uncompromising. He is also called the unifier of India, and hence the Statue of Unity, the world's tallest statue, was dedicated to him. So this is how you develop the structure for an answer. It is a very flowing answer. The examiner will like reading it. There are no abrupt breaks in between. There is nothing that is not wanted or any extra knowledge. Okay, so just adhere to the word limit. Understand what is the demand of question. I'm repeating again and again that Sardar Patel had given n number of contributions, but you don't have to talk about those contributions. His contribution in Bardoli Satyagraha or his contribution in civil services. So you don't have to talk about those things. You can just use one or two words or one line about them if you want, but make sure that you do justice to the question that has been asked. Talk only about his contribution to integration of princely states and nothing else here. Otherwise, it irritates the examiner. The examiner gets to know that the aspirant is trying to beat around the bush, and maybe the answer is not that good. That's why he's adding more and more points. So don't do that. Adhere to the word limit. See what is the requirement of the question and write your own answers. Use this information to build your own answers, and use some extra information if you have read somewhere something, like any new fact or any new term or any different term. Try to incorporate that in, and send your answers to us. We eagerly wait for them. Try to write your own answers. Email your answers to us at rmiasmainswriting@gmail.com. This is also available in our description. Don't worry about writing it down right now. Share your answers by 12 p.m. of next day, that is February 19, 2022, and send your answers in PDF format only. A lot of entries have been coming where students have been sending answers to some other questions, the questions which have not been discussed here, and they are sending answers to them to get them evaluated. So as of now, we are not evaluating other questions. We will be coming up, we will be innovating in Seize the Mains initiative, and we will be asking you to write your own answers on some different questions. But for now, just share the answers to the questions which are being discussed here. So this initiative runs from Monday to Friday. So now we'll meet on Monday with a question from GS2, that is from quasi-judicial bodies. If you are new to this initiative, just download the schedule for the parts of syllabus we'll be addressing on particular dates from the description below. It's also there on our Telegram channel, and download the PDF for today's presentation also from the description below. So see you on Monday. Study hard, take some break, and revise all what you have read. Finish on your targets. It's weekend and it's also the wedding season, so make sure that you don't miss out on targets and you do not burn out of working too hard. So just take care of yourself and stay tuned to our channel. Bye bye.